Yeah, I'll react to that, sure. Hey guys, what's up? My name's Connor. If you're new, I like to learn things and watch stuff. Rhode Island, New England, better England, USA, in that order. Um, yeah, hi, let's go. I like to learn about things and watch stuff. Why did Britain lose Hanover? Good question. History matters. I love this channel, preemptive like. And some people aren't huge fans of History Matters because they're very short and it goes, biscuit tin deep. It doesn't go very in depth or in detail with any subject because of its length. But that's precisely why I like it. When I try to learn things, I sort of, when I'm going into something for the first time, a certain subject, and then you just give me like a giant lecture on every detail of that thing, I'm just not going to absorb anything in it. So it makes it easier for me with videos like this where I can put my foot in the door and understand like, okay, that's what this is about. And if I really like the subject in general, I can start to go more in depth. You know what I mean? Let's go.
When King James VI of Scotland inherited the English throne, he made it his top priority to unify the two kingdoms into one entity. He failed, but his descendant, Queen Anne, would be the one to succeed when in 1707 the Act of Union created the Kingdom of Great Britain. In 1801 there would be a second unification with Ireland to create the United Kingdom. This was undertaken by King George III, who wanted to stop Ireland from drifting away. Yet, as this act was being drafted, George was also the ruler of another state, the Kingdom of Hanover, located here in what's now Germany. And, despite Britain and Hanover sharing the same rulers for over 120 years, the two never unified. Which raises the question, why? Why didn't Hanover join the United Kingdom, and why did the two eventually go their separate ways? So first, a bit of background. In 1714, when Queen Anne, who had no heirs, opted out of living, the British throne passed to her closest Protestant relative, George I, the Elector of Hanover. He swiftly moved to Britain because that's where the money and the power were, and the two kingdoms were thereafter run separately but with the unified foreign policy. From the beginning, though, the two domains were seen as very separate entities by both sides. Hanoverian culture was very different to Britain's, and there was very little in the way of shared history between them in the same way that England and Scotland had. Furthermore, from the perspective of Hanover, the electors leaving the country and running it mostly from London meant that local leaders felt that it had largely been reduced to a British puppet state. And in Britain, leaders there didn't exactly have high opinions of Hanover either. It was seen as an autocratic
I can relate, Hanover. They did the same thing to us, all right? Damn British. No, you guys are great. Jokes, I'm funny.
Britain leaders there didn't exactly have high opinions of Hanover either. It was seen as an autocratic liability since it had previous disputes with Sweden, France and Prussia that Britain would now have to take a side in. Furthermore, George I and II were largely disliked in Britain since they were seen as being too foreign and too fond of Hanover. George III had the opposite problem, and despite reigning for ever, he never visited Hanover. And it was during his reign that the electorate of Hanover was conquered and disestablished by Napoleon. And after his defeat there was a lot of opposition in Hanover to the restoration of the British monarchy there. In the end though, George's representatives won out, and not only was Hanover enlarged, but it was also made a kingdom with George as its first monarch. Although
Bismarck.
Not long after this, his son would succeed him as George IV. So with the same king in charge of the two states, was there any formal attempt to unite the two? Nope, and the reason for this was that Britain was a quickly liberalising country with established limits on royal and noble power, whereas Hanover was not. And in the wake of the Napoleonic Wars, few European nations were in favour of such liberalising movements. Many Hanoverians felt that they were German and wished to distance themselves from British meddling, and during the reign of William IV, the rift between the two nations grew. British Prime Minister the Earl Grey pressured the king to force
Hold on, I want to... William IV. I also want to learn about... Okay, so, sorry. I just didn't want to forget that.
In the fourth, the rift between the two nations grew. British Prime Minister the Earl Grey pressured the king to force Hanover to implement liberal reforms. These were rejected, and to many it became clear that now the union was dead because William didn't have any children. And as such, the nation's different succession laws would see different monarchs succeed the throne. In Britain, the throne would pass to Victoria, and in Hanover it would pass to Ernest Augustus because under Salic law, no girls allowed. And so, in 1837, when William died, the two kingdoms went their own separate ways. The British were by and large glad that Hanover wasn't their problem anymore, and the Hanoverians were glad that they could finally pursue their own destiny without foreign interference, something which they would proudly do for 29 whole years before being conquered by Prussia. And British influence there would be forever gone, barring its occupation by them in the wake of the Second World War. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and thank you for watching, with a special thank.
Cool episode. So honestly, I'm not that shocked that Hanover, I was thinking maybe something a little more that would make it more likely they would stay together. But I mean, they're in Germany. Were they even on the coast? I saw them kind of putting a different highlighting. One where is more inland and one where is at the coast. So that's Hanover right there. So it is on the coast. Okay. But with everything with, Otto von Bismarck, there's no way Bismarck, the Franco-Prussian War, would have not taken this anyway. So cool video. Love History Matters. Sorry if I was a bit slow there. Yeah. It's great. Hope you guys are doing well. If not, that sucks. But you'll be good soon. Don't worry. Emotions are fickle, my friend. See you next time, neighbor.